We remember them as children, playing in a yard, blowing out candles, taking their first steps. We held them as babies and watched them grow into airmen. We remember them as our fathers and mothers. When we said goodbye and tried not to cry, and then letting it all out every time they came home, crying when it finally sunk in that this time they weren't coming home. We remember them on our wedding days, our first dates, waking up together, and how they died in slow motion on a phone call or in a living room when we heard the words, "You might want to sit down." The reality is, nobody was ever killed peacefully in action. And knowing that will rip your heart apart when you think of someone you loved and still love, always, in their final moments on this earth.
Hello, how are you doing out there right now? You're on Patriots Inside the Wire. Patriots Inside the Wire. In a moment, we'll have our guest Stacey with us. Hold on one second for us, please. Thank you for tuning in to Patriots Inside the Wire. Tonight, you've got myself, Tracy Two-Step, Gold Star Mother of Sergeant Two-Step, here. And tonight, Miss Lori from the Trio Valor has stepped out. So we are going to handle this. We've been handling it. Shout out to Heroes Media Group, the great partner that we have in order to come and bring you the true stories out there. Also, shout out to 107.5, checking in with you to say thank you for what you do for us. Tonight, we have a special guest. First off, I'm going to let you know, September 27th and the 28th is a day that some of us cannot forget. That day is Gold Star Family Day on the 27th of this month. The 28th is Gold Star Mother's Day. And honestly, this is where I start and stop. And I say, listen, I'll use myself as an example right here. I have a son that was serving active duty who did not come home, period. I also have another person that I raised who did take their life. So we can speak about all of this, but I'm going to speak more about awareness and telling you about how you need to call 988. And I'm going to bring on a Gold Star mom right now. Her name is Stacey Burnham, and she'll be able to give you a lot of information as well. We like to open up, give the true stories behind the scenes with us here at Patriots Inside the Wire. And thank you for tuning in. All right, let's get Stacey. Stacey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm glad to meet you. That's for one. So it's Stacey Burnham, and then there's an E in there, everybody. So Stacey with an E, Burnham, just like it says. I'm making sure they understand it. So a lot of our listeners are either on radio and different podcasts, but right now we have live engagement, and I'm watching where we're at right now. And so welcome to the show. Give me a little bit about you. I did not get to meet with you last week, so we're doing a part 2. So happy to meet you. Could you give us just a little bit there? You heard what I said, I'm sure.
Yeah, my name is Stacey Burnham. I'm mother of Private Nicole Burnham. I live in Anoka, Minnesota. Co-founder of a nonprofit called Minnesota Kindness Alliance, and just the founder of it's a veteran suicide awareness 5K called A Walk to Honor and Honor to Walk.
Yes, I love that. So, Stacey, did you hear when I opened up the show? Were you able to hear me when I was addressing what is coming up, the dates and the awareness? And September is the awareness month, and I'm not shy to discuss it. I know your story because I had to write the bio, but I haven't personally met you yet. So I look forward to being able to meet you in person. What I do like is that we get this platform and I get to turn around and say, I want to tell the stories that nobody else is telling. And one of those is your story, Stacey. And could you tell me just a little bit about your beautiful service member that literally the ultimate sacrifice that nobody, it's like down to less than 1%, steps up on that line and decides to serve for our country. Stacey, you are one of those parents you're here. You have a true story as well. And so would you like to tell us a little about that? I'd love to know more about that.
Uh, sure. Nicole was the youngest of our three children. She graduated from Anoka High School in 2015. She actually signed up originally for the National Guard the spring before she graduated from high school. Joined as National Guard, went through her basic and her AIT, came home, loved it, wanted to go active duty. So she got released from her guard contract and went active duty. February 14th of 2017 was her active duty date. Just real quick, she ended up at Camp Casey, South Korea. There she was the victim of multiple sexual assault. Ended up coming home December of 2017 for a couple weeks. Then had to report to Fort Carson, Colorado, the very end of December 2018. Fort Carson was not told that she was an expedited victim transfer from Camp Casey, though she did take herself to behavioral health when she was there. And we did get notification on January 26th of 2018 that Nicole was found deceased in her barracks at Fort Carson, Colorado.
Yeah, I get goosebumps still. It never, ever changes for me when I talk to another individual, especially a mother. And even the story you just told is not a story. That's Nicole. Nicole is your child, and I want people to understand that. And we need to remember Nicole Burnham, literally, and these brave individuals who decide they're joining the military and what that means. And I think that we've gotten away from the part of the human side of that heartbeat. And I really want people to put that person with the name, not just say their name. So everybody's been saying that for a long time. Say their name. I'm like, no, we got to do more. What about literally getting them out there? What about literally showing them? And so Nicole is someone that we need to do that for. I do want to do a shout out. I have to do this. If you or anyone that you know is in need of help, I tell you to call 988. I beg of you to do that. I'm telling you from a family that, to be honest with you, Stacey, I'm still angry at him for doing that, but I have a different story. I'm just going to let you know that I can relate to you on certain areas. It's just that minor boys, and let you know that you're in a good spot here. Like our team at Heroes Media Group, our team out there with the Patriots Inside the Wire and the Tree of Valor, great people. So this is the right spot for Nicole and for you. And so you decided how far. I get this question a lot. Did they really come to your door? And just like they do in the movies, has anyone ever asked you that?
No one's ever asked me that. I think I kind of said it pretty soon when I told her story, that is what it's like.
Yeah.
Now, in our case, it was a little different. We did have a very unusual notification. We had been, because somebody had sent me a message wanting me to check on Nicole. And so I was trying to reach out to her. And when I couldn't get a hold of her, I ended up reaching out to Fort Carson to have them check on her. In the meantime, I, of course, reached out to my family, my son, my husband. Everyone was trying to get a hold of Nicole. And at one point in time, my husband kept calling her cell phone, and a military police answered her cell phone in her barracks. And at that point in time, they had to tell him that they had found Nicole deceased. So we had kind of already known, but we were both out of state. We had both had to fly home to Minnesota. They did make a notification to our sons, the casualty assistance officers and the chaplain. So we knew what was coming. We had to get home. We actually had to call them and say we are home and then wait for them to come to our door.
Yes. Yes, isn't that interesting? In today's era, literally, someone can pick up a phone or get on social media and let
Mhm.
out information, something like that. So it's not the
Yeah.
way any parent that should happen. So number one, my heart is yours. I say it sucks. I don't. That word sorry doesn't cut it. We have to
Mhm.
take more action. We've got to do more things. We've got to bring more awareness. And so you're the co-founder. Like, how far down the road did you find that you were going to get up and stand up and start doing things to try to turn around everything and make sure people were aware? Was it immediate or was it further down?
It was probably further down. I mean, yeah. So I started, obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, some people don't know. So you get, there's an investigation. And then, we were presented with this, I don't know, 4-inch thick book, this, her investigation report. And several people from Fort Carson come. They sit us down in a room. We have our casualty assistance officer, and they kind of go through this. And there are questions like, some of this doesn't make sense to me, but it wasn't really a question and answer. It was just kind of them presenting that they did all their work and this is what they found. And they kind of want to quit that, end it, stop it. The investigation's done. And then I have we have more questions. But, then you're also now, you get kind of on some online platforms and you're meeting other mothers, other parents. You start talking and I befriend another mom and she, then, kind of at that point in time finds an advocate, a whistleblower. We meet, with her, say, can you help us with our daughter's stories?
Mm-hmm.
And that's then when I got help from her, from Amy Frank, is kind of when then I really decided. I met with her in Chicago at the time. We sat down, spent a whole weekend going through all this stuff, and then that's kind of when it was like some of this stuff doesn't make sense. And when I started then, kind of speaking out about the things that didn't make sense and the things that happened and stuff like that.
Yeah. She might be someone on back channels. I'll connect you. She may be someone that I might need to talk to.
Mhm,
Someone like that is always good to get in touch with that has,
mhm,
so that I like that. I like that you found someone that
mhm,
is like that. As far as Nicole and what you're doing, I want everyone to understand what you're doing,
mhm,
more about Nicole and the awareness. You're in Minnesota,
mhm.
literally. So you do have someone out there that is a good friend of mine. I'll have to get in touch with him, right around you. So you're the Minnesota Kindness Alliance.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. And I wanted you to tell me some about that. And I have pictures in here too about Nicole and some other things that were sent to
Mhm.
me that I'll let you explain to me
Okay.
when we bring those up.
Okay.
Lori, I think she doesn't feel well. So shout out to Miss Lori Egerter, with the Tree of Valor. Hope she's feeling better. Something's going around with all of us.
Mhm.
How did you actually get involved with Lori, as a matter of fact? That's a great question.
So, you know, I can't remember if I found Lori or Lori found me, but it was, online. Um, she may have reached out to me about doing a tree about Nicole for maybe a women's veterans awareness type event.
Mhm.
Explained to me what she did. Of course, I
Nice.
said yes. I sent her these pictures. She created this beautiful tree and a display, I believe, in the gallery in
Yeah.
Burlington, North Carolina. And then from there, we just kind of made this connection. Um, my husband actually went out to Tree of Valor first. He had headed out there to see some friends, and I said, "You have to stop and see this." And then he came home and was just like, "Oh my gosh," blown away.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so then it was like, I told her about my event. I said, I want to have trees at my event. I want to do this, a live display. And so we started talking about that. My mom and I ended up going out September of last year to an event Lori was putting on with a Legion, and I saw these displays, helped her do that, and then a month later she came out and at our walk, because we have our walk. It's the first Saturday in October every year, because in Minnesota that is Veteran Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day.
Okay. So everybody pay attention to that. The first Saturday in October is where you have a walk, and that is in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
In honor of Nicole is where this came from, and it is on Veteran Suicide Awareness Day that we have coming up. We have a lot coming up. So, September's full of a lot, and then just keep going. And it's those dates, right? Those dates are a heavy duty thing to us. Shout out obviously to Lexi. I always have to do that, no matter what. Even if Lori's here or not, I have to say hello to Lexi. So hi, Lexi. And I have some pictures in here. And honestly, Stacey, feel free to bring up anything you'd like to bring up. Lori Egerter had mentioned she wanted you to come back as a part 2. So we're pretty much following up. There was something she wanted you to get more into, but I'm going to bring up some pictures here that they sent me and ask you to walk me through this, what she's got in here. Now, obviously, I know this one. So right here, we've already got Nicole. There she is.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the smiles. So yes, Gold Star. And I love the fact that on here, I'm so big about the families, the siblings. There is a real issue with the siblings. That's where you'll find me fighting like a dog to say, wait a minute, this is not okay, y'all. This is a whole family that's affected. A lot of these people that go in young are not married. I mean, there's no benefits that roll over to the parent and the brother or a sister. I mean, that's a real struggle, and that is something that we're working on. And then she sent me this.
Oh, this is part of so Nicole, after Nicole passed, I had a friend who Nicole died on January 26th of 2018. So on the 26th of each month, a friend of mine would place something yellow, because yellow was Nicole's favorite color. She would usually place it somewhere around our town, whether it be a stuffed animal, a flower, whatever it was, and she would take a picture, usually, and just send it to me. No words, but just her way of saying, I remember Nicole, I remember this day. And and this was early on in my grief, when I was still, every month, it's 1 month, it's 2 months, it's been 12, it's been 14 months, it's, and so she really honored that, that she remembered. And it was July 26th of 2019, she asked me to meet her. So in our city actually, there's 2 rivers in our city, but along the banks of the Rum River in Anoka sits a Veterans Memorial Park. And along there was this huge oak tree. And she says to me, literally, can you meet me at the oak tree at Veterans Memorial Park after dark? I'm like, okay, sure, I can do that. That's weird, but sure. So I get there, and she and some other mutual friends had these painted rocks sitting at the base of a tree with these, kind, uplifting messages with pictures of Nicole. And that kind of became this memorial rock garden. And as this grew, and it was along a walking path, very visible. And as this grew, people started to leave other rocks. Some people would take rocks, other things, some about Nicole, some just, about suicide awareness itself. And as it grew and grew, we were like, well, we need to name this now. And, at that point in time, I didn't really want it to be just a memorial Nicole, because it had really grown into something much more than that. So we named this the Anoka Kindness Rock Garden, and we kind of became the caretakers. We actually, put some landscaping bullets around it. We put a shelf there, and we just cared for this. And we created this Facebook page. And like I said, it just kept growing and growing. So the Anoka Kindness Rock Garden really was a gift to me. It was a gift from a friend in my darkest time.
Yeah.
And she wanted to remember.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We're both going to be breaking here. It is so nice to hear that you have someone that literally called you and said, "Hey, I want to meet with you." I mean, I don't think that I can't put it into words. I still wait for the days when I might hear from some that we're serving with, something like that, that happened for you. That is a beautiful, beautiful human being that you're talking about that went out there. And you almost had me when you're like after dark. I was like, I wasn't sure where the story was going to go. I was like, okay, good. So you've got this amazing human being. And then Yellow, we'll talk on back channels with. I think yellow's another thing for me as well. So I wanted everyone to see that smile and see Nicole. Definitely look at her. Beautiful. And then I also have, when I pull this up, and the reason is because, oh, look, okay. So is this a picture when it was in Minnesota? Do you know that, Stacey?
Let me look. I have to get this closer.
Yeah, I wore my glasses too, but I've got another one I'll pull up that's, I know for a fact it's you because you're in the picture.
Yes, this is us in Minnesota. I'm sorry.
Okay. I thought so.
So all right. So let's kind of pivot from the rock garden. There's Lori and I. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in our city in Anoka, there used to be a state hospital. It was the Anoka State Hospital, and it's, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 of these beautiful old 100-year-old buildings, and they were, used just as that. They had become run down over the years, and we had a state senator, and then a lot of other some other local people here in Anoka wanted to do something with these buildings. So they took 3 of the buildings, and then there's an auditorium, and they turned it into what's called Havens for Heroes. And that is, it's a veterans, homeless shelter. I don't like to use the word homeless, but they have turned these cottages into a place for veterans who, are in a spot where they're needing a place to stay. A lot of them are, fighting some addiction issues, looking for employment. So there's a men's cottage, and then there was a female cottage. And after the first year we had our walk, that's where we kind of based our walk out of. So I guess even kind of going back to before this walk started, they opened, their kind of grand opening was in the auditorium of this building in December of 2017. And Nicole happened to be home. She was back from Camp Casey before she had went to Fort Carson. And at that point in time, I was a Blue Star mom, and we did a lot of volunteering, and we helped paint these buildings and get these bedrooms ready. And when they were going to have the grand opening of the auditorium, I reached, I wanted to go, and I was like, I'm going to bring my daughter, she's going to be home. And so Nicole came, and she was in her uniform, and, she kind of stood by this donation box, and, more people got to see her and stuff. And so that was kind of our tie to this Havens for Heroes.
Yeah.
So fast forward only about 5 weeks after that, Nicole is deceased. And, after that initial grief, when I wanted to do something, I want to do a walk. So I reached out to them and said, I want to do this walk. Can I do it out of here? Can this be my home base? And of course, they welcomed me. And that's our first year the walk started in October of 2019. And the very first walk was the first year the bill came out in Minnesota that first Saturday in October was Veterans Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day. Completely, a fluke that was the day I picked, and that was the day.
Oh, wow.
Was picked for that.
All those God winks for me.
Yeah. And so then they kind of, as a gift to us, that female cottage now has a sign out in front of it that it's was named in honor of Nicole. So that's kind of been our home base. And like I said, it is those buildings are beautiful, and they're old, beautiful chandeliers. So that's where we,
Yeah.
post our walk. We
That
start.
makes a huge, huge difference that you have there. And I want to make sure that I'm showing each picture. Look at this one.
That
So
was
it looks like you're at the fire station here.
Yes, that was homecoming. Her homecoming of her senior year. A bunch of her friends. That's kind of where they did their photo shoot. Was at one of the fire stations in town.
I love that.
So
Nicole, we're talking about her and homecoming. Did she go into the service immediately? Like she went
did.
to
So she originally, military wasn't on her radar. She was already accepted into a pre-chemistry medical tract at the University of Wisconsin Stout. She was accepted. We were already in the process of getting, a dorm and all that. One day in the lunchroom at her high school, a recruiter, had told her all these wonderful things about, the military and joining the Guard. And that kind of, sparked her interest. So she comes home and tells me that she's thinking of doing this. And I was like, what? Of course, I was a little leery. Went down to the recruiter office with her, and I was pretty much like, you need to tell her everything, not all the rose-colored glasses, tell her all the things that can happen. And, they did a pretty good job, but they won her over, and she signed up. They were like, you can defer your college for a year, do this, you'll have this great GI Bill. And I'm sure all of that is true. I do know that.
it can be for some because I know this story. It seems like I hear this story a lot. For some, yes, it does work that way. And so they did tell me that you went through a lot of it in the first part. So part one of everything that went with Nicole Burnham. And this is you're her mother, Stacey Burnham. And so anybody out there, one of our viewers, if you'd like to go back and see the first half of the show, it is a show that we just did last week, and it's out under Patriots Inside the Wire, multiple locations. You can go hear that. I myself was not here to meet you yourself or Nicole. I do know of Nicole actually from being, I think, as families, and I use the word families because focusing on the brothers and sisters is a big thing to me. We end up meeting people that know people that know people, and it's just that's the one good thing about social media. There is something good about it. There can be some bad, but there is some good there too. You mentioned that it helped you too find someone in the beginning as well. There's a picture in here next to a staircase. Production showing that to me, and I was going to ask you about it. If you want to pull that up, you can. It's Chief. There it is.
That's the rock garden. So again, I feel like we're flipping back and forth. So this is the rock garden. Like I said, this was a beautiful gift from a friend. She started this. I know she does not like to think that she is the creator of this, but she is. My friend Missy. So this rock garden, as it grew, it then our city, it grew and it grew and it grew. Kind of outgrew where it was. Our city then came to us and wanted to give us a space. So this is in our city, right at our city hall that is along the river. We have this beautiful rock garden. That's one of the walls with a mural. There's a whole nother side to that. And that's kind of where the Minnesota Kindness Alliance then comes in. We have people that, wanted to donate stuff to us, and it was like, wow, this has really grown into something bigger than just a rock garden.
Yeah.
So then we create this nonprofit, and Missy and we have a handful of wonderful volunteers that help us. We hold rock painting events monthly, weekly. We go out to, we just spent the summer going to all of the elementary schools in our school district. Our focus is on kindness. Depending on our audience, there is talk about suicide awareness. We're very mindful though of our audience. But kindness, bullying, like I said, it depending on our audience, that is kind of what we talk about. But that's kind of where it all ties together. The Minnesota Kindness Alliance is kind of the parent, and under that falls the Anoka Kindness Rock Garden and our
Yeah.
walk, which is a walk to honor and honor to walk. All of that this is Nicole's legacy. That's how this is taken, like I said, my friend Missy, really, I don't think she understands the magnitude that she has taken the worst time of my life
Mm-hmm.
and created. She has helped me create Nicole's legacy. And
She actually has. She's created literally that space there that when all you want to do, I want to speak for me, is sink into a hole and not sure how to get out of it. It takes sometimes someone else literally to pull you up out of there, and you never know who it's going to be. And I'm not afraid to say that I still have bad days. I mean, it's not like it's always great. I get asked that question too, Stacey. I don't know if you get that one. Does it get better with time? And I'm like, I wouldn't use the word better. I would say that I might learn more. I might be a little wiser. I might ask more questions. I might be a lot more bold. And although I kind of was at the beginning too. And so about the walk, I want to know again the date so that they remember out there the actual date. That's that first weekend in October.
So this year it is Saturday, October 4th.
Yeah.
We do have, there is a Eventbrite. There's a page where you can pre-register. We do offer some things for people that pre-register. The first 80 people get a swag bag with some items that you aren't going to get unless you pre-register. We offer some freebies up for our same day registrants, but that swag bag does have some really cool, fun things that you're not going to get unless you pre-register. We have food. We have a raffle. I think right now we're up to about 70 raffle items, which is down a little. I think last year we were actually at or a little over 100. But we have some vendor booths and tables. We have our Tree of Valor display. It just has really grown. Each year we kind of add something. We start at Havens for Heroes in Anoka. We walk to the Anoka Kindness Rock Garden and back, and it's a little under a 5K. But it's, it starts out at our same day registration table opens at 10. That's when check-in starts. Around 11, we do a little program. We post the colors, national anthem. I tell Nicole's story. We usually have a couple other people that talk about Havens for Heroes, how it started. Then we step off, do the walk, come back. That usually brings us to about 12:30. We do a last call for raffle tickets. We do our raffle drawings, allow people to have time to have lunch. And we're usually done and cleaned up and out of there by 2:00.
Wow. Well, you said 70 is a little amount to me. That's a lot. For someone like me who's just getting started with doing something, try to figure out what that is. I'm in the music lane, and I decided to go back only recently. And I decided, okay, this is where it therapeutically benefits me. And then we'll see what happens after that. But I do remember Lori calling me and saying, there is a mother you need to talk to, because somehow she literally, everything you're saying, she was able to do it. And it just started with, getting out there and starting it, no matter how small it is. It's you get started, you get going, and from there you'll see where it goes. But the key thing that you said in here that I want everybody to understand is you said it's 5 or more really good volunteers that stand by and take that on with you. And that is a key part of every organization, the volunteer word. You don't all need to be it's not about decision making. It's not about anything except honoring, remembering the kindness And that means giving back, coming from the heart, and everything should start with kindness. That's for sure. Because Stacey, you could go into with Nicole, you could go into, like you mentioned, the schools with bullying. You could go into so many directions with this. The elementary kids just starting out, like, that young is very smart too. Every which way you can go with this. I'm going to be watching you, to be honest. Do you wear anything special in regards to Nicole, or I am being told to ask you about crazy clothes?
Okay. Well, so we usually have a walk t-shirt every year. We kind of design, when I use the word design, but we have our walk logo. And then each year I try to change that up a little bit, different type of shirt, different color shirt. We do hats. We do, our baseball style hats. We do beanies. And like I said, every year I do try to change that up a little bit. I don't, as far as crazy, I don't know if they're crazy, but we do,
Special
we do that.
outfits.
We have, and when you say that, a lot of our volunteers, literally, we found our volunteers, these are people that most of these, and they're mostly female, most of these women came to one of our rock painting events for one reason or another. They found themselves there, whether they were going through something themselves, they had a family member going through something, but they found themselves at a rock painting event, and they, came alone, came with a friend, and sat and painted. And this is kind of something else. Some people they think this sounds really silly. You paint rocks like it's a kid thing. We get together with these little kids and they slap on some paint. The majority of our events are adults. Our weekly, we do it in the winter. We do it once a month, and in the summer we do it weekly. The majority of that are adults, and they come, and wherever the conversation leads, it's comforting to them. They find it that they're going to come back, and then they come back. Sometimes they bring someone else, and pretty soon you're sitting in a room of complete strangers, but you find you have so much in common. You are listening to other people's struggles, and you just find out you are way more alike than you are different.
Yes.
And then they, all of a sudden they're like, we're talking about things we're doing, and they're just like, I want to be involved. I want to help. What can I do? And now we have, like I said, a really core group of people that we are sending out, like last weekend we had 2 events. This coming weekend we have an event. We're sending them out to events, and they're representing us. The Kindness Alliance, the Rock Garden, they're talking about kindness. Again, depending on the audience, they're talking about suicide awareness. And like I said, so I could not do this without them. And of course, my family, that every time I have some crazy idea, they're like, all right, what can I do?
What are we doing now?
And when we talk about the raffle items, that is my husband does that. He goes every single year to every local establishment, tells Nicole's story, and somehow walks out of there with a raffle donation item.
Wow.
And our little town of Anoka and the surrounding communities have just embraced our event.
I love that. I'd like to go back and do something, because a lot of people don't understand our terminology when we say it. When you said Blue Star Mom, I'm going to clarify that out there. So Blue Star Mother means that when Stacey and myself, Tracy, have a son and daughter joining the military while they're active duty serving, we were called Blue Star Moms. And I'm not talking about any organization actually right now. I'm just talking about terminology. When they're serving active duty and they do not come out of the service on their own, they do not walk out of the service, they did not return home, and they're no longer here, we are called Gold Star families. So, and I'm not referring to a organization there either. I am referring to military, and I am referring to terms that go back to World War II. that have been changed over the years, and they actually need to do more updating, Stacey. They really do. One of the biggest things that I get is, well, what does that mean? But I Googled this and it says this. And I'm like, don't Google that. I mean, there is so much old information out there that one of the biggest things that Lori Egerter and I have agreed on is we have got to change the narrative out there. We have got to get it out there where everyone knows that they're included. Everyone knows that they have a place to come. They have a home, because the other issue is there is no unit. There is no home. You get used to being in a group. You get used to the other people there, and then it's like gone. And then Stacey, how many were the siblings? The siblings for Nicole, were there two?
Two. Yeah, she was the youngest of three. So she has
Yes.
two older brothers.
Yes. And so you know what I'm talking about when I say, what about the siblings? Because there really isn't anything out there. And that has been one of the hurdles that I have been, I would say, screaming about for a while now. And I finally said, okay, fine, I'm going to go just start something. We're going to just take care of this. So we've recently just started doing that. And our first event is this weekend. Does your son get involved? I want it, like, the siblings, are they now?
So they are, I mean, you know, they are. I'm not going to say they're not involved, but I leave that up to them as far as what they want to be involved in and how much they want to be involved in. I do have one son that has gone on to, some sibling retreats and stuff. My other son, that isn't something he's interested in, but he does everything local, he does. They are both very supportive. And that is something early on, because I know, I can only imagine that, especially early on after Nicole died, when people saw them, I bet the first thing they said were, "How are your parents?" Kind of forgetting probably what a toll it had taken on them to lose their little sister. It's a totally different kind of grief. It's something that any chance I have to talk to a sibling that is, in the midst of their grief, I want to know what they feel. What are their parents feeling? How do they feel about what their parents are feeling? How do they feel about how their parents act? I try to be very mindful. Like, my heart was shattered because I lost Nicole. My heart would have been equally shattered had I lost either one of my boys. Because I have two living children does not make my grief any less. People are like, "Oh, at least you have other kids." That is not the way it works.
Yeah, I don't like that one. I know what you're talking about. Like, that's just not okay. Like, that is almost like hitting below the belt. That's not okay to do. That's not kindness. Is right there in your name. I'm like, okay, that's not kind. And you can't really, I can't, you can do what you want, because we get a free country because our kids served. So that's why all these people have the freedom of speech. They have all these rights, is because we have someone that went in the service and they signed up to do a duty. And while they were doing that duty, they unfortunately aren't with us anymore. And I'll tell you that I do have one of the siblings who absolutely wants nothing at all to do with anything related to military, related to an event. I would have to take them to something that involves music and an outside type thing that they weren't feeling like they were like closed up in a box around. Some things that I could go to that, and to be honest with you, I'm trying to figure that out myself. Even in my own backyard, it's not as easy for me. It's easier actually for me to go to other places like bigger cities and figure that out. And so your boys, how are they doing? Are they doing better?
I think they are doing as well as they can. I mean, they both have gone on to be, get married. They have, my one son has a son.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, life, the sad thing is life goes on. But but Nicole's always there. I know she's, and it's little things like, we have these little wristbands, when it has her name and it's yellow and all this. And there are not many times where I won't see a picture of my sons or something, and they always have those on. And even my son's friends, and it's something I notice. It's like an eagle eye. They'll post a picture on Facebook or whatever of, something happening in their life, and it's like they have her bracelet on. I vividly remember some friends of my son's, like, they've posted announcements of they're expecting a child on Facebook, and I notice they have that wristband on.
Oh,
Something, little like that
it
I'm sure
means a
they're
lot.
probably not even aware of. But,
It means a lot.
I try to honor, I have my boys will say, like, we have this going on. We have, we can do this. And some will, they'll just, I'm not interested. And that's fine. I get it. I can't,
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that does for them. I'm sure for most siblings, you're talking about the loss of your very first best friend, somebody that, was there every day of your life, that you probably shared secrets and stuff with, that you didn't even, share with your
Tell
parents.
your parents.
Yeah. So it's a very different kind of loss, a loss.
It is.
I didn't have a sibling until I was 18 years old. So it's kind of a grief that I would be very, I can't relate to, but speaking to other parents or other siblings, I've learned. So,
Well, I can tell you that it wasn't until my brother took his life, and I would have never in my wildest dreams. I mean, big, tough guy. I mean, it still is. I can tell you, I'm a brutally honest person. I'm still shocked. I am still in shock. It just doesn't add up. A lot of things don't add up, right? And so I also have to be careful and be mindful of where I'm at in myself, my setting within me for the siblings. So as a mom trying to juggle that, I mean, did you find yourself going, okay, I have to try to mask what I'm feeling right now because the other ones, so it's like it's almost like the scales of justice, like which way, like I'm feeling heavier today on this side. And
right.
so trying to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be, I have to, even as tough as days are, I have to be present. Some of the hardest days for me, and birthday, like Nicole's birthday, Christmas and stuff is hard, but her birthday is hard. That was her day. But bringing that in with my other kids, like their wedding days, I bet they never imagined her not being there, and I never imagined her not being there. And that was their day. I had to be present and joyful for them, but at the same time inside, it was just like, how am I going to make it through this day? Like, and the fact that I don't get to do this with Nicole. Like, I have to revel and love every single part of this for them because it's their day. But I only get to do this 2 times. I don't get to go do this the 3rd time. So I have to
do that with your daughter.
Yes. Yeah. And
I went through the same thing. So one of my kids, one of my daughter, and I'm telling you, I tried my best to just, smile and not just, don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it. But boy, there's no way you can't, as a mother, giving birth to all of your children, they all matter. So that they're all equally important, but to take away a piece of you, it's like taking away a piece of you, literally. So I always say that's natural. If I meet someone that tells me the opposite and that they're completely fine and I'm like, oh, that might not be the person I need to talk to. Because if you're going to tell me that you're completely okay and everything's great, then I don't know. Good for you. But I doubt that it really is. I mean, I like to say completely honest, true, upfront, transparent. And the kindness, we'll have to talk on a back channel. Kindness is one of the reasons. So I'm going to put it in the instance of a school. So I had a kid that even if you see something in school and a kid's in a wheelchair and there's a bully that's constantly messing with a kid, my son is the kind of son that's going to go up and knock you out. And that's the kind of kid that I still use current. That's my kid. And my kid carried that over. And so when my kid carried that over, there's bigger prices that you pay for stepping in the middle of things when they should not happen. And when you step in the middle of something, things happen to you. So being kind goes without saying. I mean, I was like, this is what we do. We take up for other people and we stay kind. That started from when he was little. And so it carried over into, he was just a fighter, I can't stand it either. Like, I cannot stand to see disrespect, especially, I mean, the kid that, I'm only using this as an example because I don't want to refer to the military right now.
Mhm.
Especially a kid that's disabled, that was getting literally hit upside their head and nobody would do anything. I mean, there had been so many complaints. My kid just turns on and finally had it, knocked the kid out. And I was asked, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, nothing. I'm taking him home and we're going to go get something to eat. So that's him right there. Production pulled it up. I'm like, good job, kid.
Right.
What I didn't realize, and I have a little bit of guilt about, is his attitude. He's a fighter, so he did great in the military. But the part that got us was there is a lot out there that happens that's not normally in mainstream media. And when these things happen, and you talked about some things about Nicole, when things happen and someone decides they're going to do something about it, some people decide, well, you're not going to get to live because now you've done something about it. And so I have never, Lori Egerter is begging me to do my story. And I've done my story as far as fighting out there with the bases and different people and updating policies. And because I want to see change. But as far as doing his story, the easiest way for me to do it is to say to you, in your Kindness Alliance, keep going and keep doing what you're doing, because I love what you're doing, because it starts with kindness. And you made me remember exactly his personality was, nope, we can't do that. And so if you try to bring that over into any area, you should be able to do that. If it gets to the point where it's you start talking about they were at a job in the military. They had positions within the military, and it's not like a normal job. It's not like you can say, hey, yeah, I don't like this, I want out. You sign up, you get in. I actually have a great heart for the military. I actually thank those who serve and have served, because I have other family members. It's not all bad. That's what I try to say. But there is, just like in life, there's always a good and a bad, and you have to be aware of that. And what I wasn't aware of was, by having someone who is such a fighter, how do you try to tell someone to ignore something and do nothing when all you've done is teach them to do the right thing? So getting back on subject, that's Nicole. So I can talk to you more off air, but I want to give you like my heart and raise it up to you for everything that you're doing. Kindness is the main word. And I like that. I'm glad that you made me remember that. You made me remember something that is the most basic concept in life. The siblings, again, you're once we get to know each other more, you're going to go, man, that lady that's on fire about siblings, her name's Tracy. So sibling scholarships, sibling classes, courses, a lot of different things we're working on right now. And so, but I have the same thing that you have. It's like, I'm not going to push it on the others. There's, and there's one that I know better. It's like, nope, don't bother at all. And then the other, it's, let's bring it up. So Chief is bringing this up. So yes, the Sergeant Two-Step Festival is this Saturday. Actually, Stacey, we're having our first large festival, and that will be, I don't know if y'all brought this up last week. Chief just brought this up because he was trying to show you. Chief is with our production team, everybody who's paying attention and listening to us out there again on Patriots Inside the Wire with 107.5 and Heroes Media Group. This is that flyer, Stacey. And so it's over 20 artists. It is the first time. It is September 27th, which is Gold Star Family Day, which is a day that is out there. And there's a reason I picked that day. I thought, okay, a lot of people have no clue that day exists.
Right.
So bring awareness. And from there, whatever happens, happens. So I love everything that you're doing. As a matter of fact, the rocks, I actually had someone, and I was trying to remember who, that actually gave me. And I have painted rocks. They're behind me, literally. So those painted rocks actually are amazing. Like I've got a few. I think one says "You Rock" and one says "Patience." I mean, I love them. As a matter of fact, so someone gave those to me, and it was during a time that it's still blurry. But I remember the rocks, and I still have them. So they are very special. So bringing people together in what you're doing, I automatically recognized it because I am someone that was in a blurry time. I can't remember who handed me those rocks, but I have them, and it's very significant to me. So I love that. And I want to see what you'd like to say more about Nicole and you, and remembering that the first Saturday in October, that's October 4th, when you're doing your walk, and I'll have to get in touch on back channels. But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear more about what you'd like to say, rather than you sparked me, is what you did. You sparked me with the truth about my own kid and the siblings, and I bet you Lori knew this would happen. That's why she probably said, Stacey needs to come back and you need to meet her. I guarantee it. She's always got something in a good way. She's always got something out there. I want to bring this up real quick. This is Lexi.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We always make sure that we do that. There she is, Miss Val and Amber, and of course, Lori and Scott. Love every bit of that. And then I keep, Nicole's picture right here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
That's right before she left Camp Casey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird to see that picture and then just not weeks later she had died. It's just very odd.
Yes. It's not okay. It's not okay, Stacey. It's I have some stuff that the same thing she's holding literally is behind me. We'll definitely be connecting more. I want to connect with you. I can't see these other pictures she has in here. I'm just going to pull it up. Here it is. It looks like
so that's inside. Yep, that's inside Haven for Heroes. The white tree at the very end, that is Nicole's tree. So you think of this big old huge brick building, and you open the big double doors and you can see straight down the hall. And we lined that hall with trees. The very first one in that cottage being a female veterans tree, because that is a female cottage. Different, ones. And then so those trees came to us. And when I talk about our volunteers, we had a volunteer who spent all summer on Facebook Marketplace getting these trees for free. She drove around our town picking these trees up from people. We ended up with 20 some. We couldn't have done that without her, that is, and so we, set these all up. But I wanted to touch really quick on the sibling thing. And somebody had asked me once about why that was, why I was so passionate about that, or what was that? And it was like, and I thought about that, early on when they asked me that. It was because in a normal timeline, if life goes the way it's supposed to, I will probably supposed to die before my sons, and they will carry this grief longer. They were in their early 20s when they lost their sister. They can carry this grief. I was, in my late 40s, I'm looking at, 20 less years, probably at least. They're going to carry this grief with them so much longer than I am. And I feel bad for them for that's kind of like a black cloud, I feel like, hanging over them. Or I don't want them. I know they will always remember Nicole, but I don't want it to be this heavy weight over their shoulder for their whole life, the rest of their life.
Most definitely.
But that's kind of what, for me, it was like they'll carry it longer than I do. And that really saddens me for them.
It really is. It's, And I know that that's why Lori set it up to have you come back. She knew that I would immediately pick up on that, and I would immediately be passionate about what you're talking about. You're literally like a rock star, literally, like in between that and the kindness walk, everything that you're doing. You mentioned your husband going out to all those companies and the volunteers and what they're doing. That sounds like the place I would want to live. So
Mhm.
you sound like you're in a community that gives, supports, and takes care of each other. And that sounds like a beautiful blessing to me right there too. Um, just to I wanted to so is this it is that is her tree there.
That's the
Yeah,
coast tree, yeah.
yeah.
So it's the only white tree
Mm-hmm.
of our forest of
Mm-hmm.
trees.
Mm-hmm.
It was donated especially for that purpose. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yes, so it
Oh,
kind of sits at the in this front center.
I love
It's any
that.
more important than anyone else's stories, but um,
Yeah.
it's just
No, I get it.
I
I
get to,
get
it's a
everything.
her event and I get to do that.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
like that. I
So
we'll have to figure it out to get the Tree of Valor out here in Texas. I mean, I am one person and we have a few people, but not many. We're just starting out. So but that's how I met Lori literally was in a parking lot and well she'll end up telling you or I will one day. The whole reason we met was I was actually with my youngest son and we it was probably one of the first events I was going to try to go to, and then there was chaos, complete chaos. And then he's like, I don't want to be here, can we go? And we're in the parking lot to go check in at the motel place, and nobody really knew anything and much information. And I grew up in Nashville, so I was okay, but I knew that the location we were in was not okay. And I'm in the parking lot and I'm like, come on, and I'm talking to my son, my youngest, and I see this lady in the parking lot who's also like, looks like she's feeling like I am. That was Lori.
mhm.
So we met in the parking lot literally, and there she was, like trying to unload and take care of Lexi. And so it's not just the trees, not your chair.
Mhm.
Being able to do that in recognition of all those who are not here, that is a very important tribute that I love as well. And so I'm hoping that over where I'm at, we can start finding more volunteers to get some more of it's not just trees, but get more awareness and more recognition out here for these families. And not just me, I don't mean me. I mean, I heard you say that too. It's like it takes on something else. So it's not about one, it's about all. So it
Mhm.
would be about Nicole, it would be about two step, and everybody. And that's why we have this platform is, it's not a mainstream media that's going to sit down, or a documentary isn't going to get everybody, but eventually we'll get it back in here. And I would like to do more of a story with you and I, discussing more about Nicole if you want to. I try to get the parents, whichever, if it's the mom, the dad, whomever, who wants to come in, and that way we can document, yes, Nicole Burnham is serving. This is her rank, and give more of a detail on that. And then the awareness out there for others who are looking to make a decision. Um, I'm not saying base your decision on our stories. I'm saying we need to remember, not just say their names. Nicole needs to be seen, and we all as a collective unit, like as people, as the decency behind us, need to remember each other, and that life is short. Life is very, very fragile and short. You never ever know. And there's 30 seconds of every day in everyone's life where someone is making a decision which could change your life forever, good or
Mhm.
bad. I mean, every single day. And unfortunately for us, the worst nightmare is a true story. And so our worst nightmares happen to be a true story. And I hate that. I really, really do. But what I love is what you've done and turned around, and the people behind you, what they're doing, and seeing all of those trees, the rocks, the walk that you're doing, and the people that are supporting it. So I appreciate you, Stacey, and I want to get to know you better off of the off air. And then definitely the individual you mentioned who's kind of like a whistleblower, someone who likes to rattle cages. That would be a great person to know. I always like to find out who that is. That's for sure. Is there something else you'd like to share out there with everyone before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, just again, our walk Saturday, October 4th, a walk to honor and honor to walk. Anoka, Minnesota, come join us as we honor and remember those with us and those that are not with us any longer.
Yeah, those who serve or have served, no matter here or not. And then I go on to say, I don't need to know unless you want me to know. But other than that, no, you're welcome. Survivors of the fallen. Some people don't want to be called particular names, so I respect that too. So survivors of the fallen is pretty much the words that I'm sticking to. But Gold Star Family Day is a day that's been out there, and then Gold Star Mother's Day, which I particularly don't. I don't particularly care for. So the Family Day. We've chosen to do something. I, for one, will remember Nicole for sure, and I appreciate the rocks without even knowing who handed me these rocks. So they do mean a lot. So with you getting together and everything that you're doing, I have to say thank you, because I don't even know who to thank. It was during that beginning time where it's still blurry on coming and going, but they mean something. They're still there with me. So I appreciate everything that you're doing and joining us here. And I just wish that we were meeting under different circumstances is the biggest part of this. But Nicole, beautiful young lady that should be here, who is not here, but you're carrying forward her mission of kindness. So the Minnesota Kindness Alliance here with Stacey Burnham has been on tonight with Patriots Inside the Wire. You can go to our website, patriotsinsidethewire.com. We're always looking, Stacey, for someone to send us, someone that does want to get their story out, or they want to get their events and everything out. Definitely send them our way. Okay, you can get my information definitely from Lori or production. I think you met Chief last time too. So I appreciate that. I'm going to close this down here and say thank you to everyone out there for tuning in to Patriots Inside the Wire. We appreciate you and we thank you. And I'm going to close this out here in regards to the show. It was wonderful to meet you, Stacey. I look forward to meeting you in person. And that will happen. We're going to make sure that happens. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. And we will be in touch with you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. And shout out. It's Nicole Burnham. That is this show. This show is Nicole Burnham. That beautiful smile of hers. Thank you so much, Stacey, and your whole family. All right. I'll see you soon.
This has been a Patriots Inside the Wire production. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Two-Step Tribe, where you, the viewer, are always the rock star of this show. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share. We cannot do this without you. Your uncle says so, and you are loved and appreciated. Sergeant Two-Step, sign us out. Let's load up.